Can you feel the tension in the air, Panthers Nation? Our entire future is resting on the shoulders of one man, and the clock is officially ticking on his career-defining season. While everyone talks about the offense, the truth behind our quarterback situation is far more complex than you think. Is he truly the long-term answer, or are we heading toward another massive rebuild? You need to know the reality of this high-stakes audition before the kickoff. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and join our daily coverage to stay ahead of every move. Let's dive deep into this situation right now. The 2026 season for the Carolina Panthers hinges entirely on the performance of Bryce Young, who sits at the absolute center of the team's offensive identity and overall success. When Young executes effectively, the Panthers demonstrate their capability to compete at a high level, yet the team lacks the surrounding offensive talent to compensate when he struggles. This dynamic remains a constant factor for the 2026 campaign, even with the addition of a slightly improved supporting cast. As the most important player on the roster, Young's impact extends far beyond standard quarterback duties, as the team's current structure makes him the definitive engine for every offensive drive. His ability to elevate the players around him is not just an advantage, it is a necessity for the team to function. The reliance on his play is so significant that any fluctuations in his performance directly dictate the team's output on the field. Because the roster lacks elite depth across other skill positions, the margin for error is razor-thin. For the Panthers to achieve their goals, they need Young to operate at his absolute peak during every single snap throughout the upcoming schedule. He is the barometer by which the success of the entire organization is measured. If he is on, the offense hums. If he is not, the limitations of the unit become glaringly apparent. This reliance on a single player is a unique situation that defines the current era of the team. As we look at the path ahead, the pressure is on for him to demonstrate consistency and playmaking ability. It is time for everyone to unite behind this mission and remember the spirit of the team as we look toward a challenging season ahead, always remembering to keep pounding. Why does this matter right now for the team? The answer lies in the crossroads facing the Carolina Panthers regarding their future direction and roster stability. Bryce Young is not merely competing for wins this season. He is effectively auditioning for a contract extension that will determine if he remains the face of the franchise for years to come. In the present, the team's hopes for a division title rest squarely on his shoulders, but the implications reach much deeper. Beyond the immediate goal of securing a playoff spot, the team's need to avoid another lengthy rebuilding process is tied directly to his development and performance on the field. While most NFL teams either possess a clear franchise quarterback or are in the early stages of evaluating a prospect, the Panthers find themselves in a unique position of needing definitive proof. They have seen potential, but the organization requires certainty before committing to a long-term future. This season acts as the final hurdle for Young to prove he is that guy. By putting together a career-best performance, he can validate the faith placed in him and solidify his position as the leader of the offense. The pressure is compounded by the fact that he is tasked with overcoming a lack of elite supporting talent, forcing him to be the primary differentiator in games. The front office and the coaching staff are watching closely to see if he can take the necessary leap forward to stabilize the franchise's outlook. His success is not just about the win-loss column, it is about providing the organization with the clarity needed to make critical decisions for 2027 and beyond. The stakes could not be any higher for both the player and the team. The degree of difficulty for Bryce Young in 2026 is exceptionally high, primarily due to the daunting slate of opponents waiting on the schedule. Statistically, the Panthers face the third hardest schedule in the NFL, providing an immediate and significant test for their starting quarterback. Even more concerning is the quality of the opposing units he will face throughout the year. The defenses on the schedule were ranked first in EPA, meaning Young will consistently encounter the most efficient and toughest defensive schemes in the league. This presents a massive challenge for a player tasked with carrying the offensive burden. Every single week, he will be operating against opponents designed to pressure the quarterback and disrupt his timing. Without an elite supporting cast to alleviate the pressure, Young must process these complex defensive looks faster than ever before. The lack of extensive talent around him means he cannot rely on receivers to consistently win one-on-one matchups or a dominant run game to bail him out in third-down situations. Instead, the burden falls on his ability to read the field, identify mismatches, and execute precise throws under constant defensive scrutiny. This environment will test his durability and his decision-making skills every Sunday. Despite these hurdles, he remains the primary focal point for every defensive coordinator who prepares against Carolina. They know exactly where the ball needs to go and who they need to stop to neutralize the team's offensive threats. As a result, Young is not just playing against the defense. He is playing against a game plan explicitly built to capitalize on any mistakes he might make. His success against this caliber of competition will be the ultimate indicator of his growth and long-term viability as a premier quarterback in the league. Although the Panthers have made minor adjustments to the supporting cast, the reality remains that the offense lacks the depth found in many other contending units. Players like Chris Brazzell are expected to provide solid contributions, and the return of Jonathan Brooks is certainly a positive development for the backfield. However, these additions do not mask the fact that the unit remains talent-poor relative to the standard needed for a deep playoff run. Bryce Young is still expected to close the gap between his teammates and the high-level competition they face. This is an immense responsibility for any quarterback, particularly one still trying to cement his status as a permanent starter. The offensive line and the pass-catching group must find a way to maximize their efficiency, but the onus falls on Young to orchestrate the entire operation. He has to compensate for the lack of explosive playmakers by extending drives and making smart, calculated decisions that keep the chains moving. When the offense stalls, the focus immediately shifts back to the quarterback's inability to manufacture scoring opportunities out of thin air. This cycle of reliance creates a narrow window for success. If the running game does not provide a consistent threat, the opposing defenses will prioritize stopping the pass, further complicating Young's life in the pocket. His performance in these high-pressure, limited-talent scenarios is exactly what the organization is evaluating. They are looking for the it factor, that rare ability to elevate average circumstances into winning results. While the team is hoping for a leap forward, the reality is that the margin for error is non-existent. Without significant contributions from the wider roster, the burden stays firmly on number 9 to perform miracles. As the 2026 season unfolds, the narrative will remain fixed on how Bryce Young manages the weight of these expectations. Every snap is a data point for the front office and a potential pivot point for the team's future trajectory. A productive, mistake-free season could lead to the extension he is playing for and a return to the postseason. Conversely, any struggle will likely trigger more questions about the franchise's direction and the viability of their current strategy. Because the team has not reached a point of absolute certainty, every game carries significant weight. Young is effectively playing for his career as the leader of the Carolina Panthers. The organization is at a turning point where they must decide if they are building around him for the long term or if they need to look toward an alternative path. This makes every single completion, every touchdown pass, and every victory crucial to his case. The fans, the coaching staff, and the decision-makers are all aligned in watching his progression against the toughest defensive schedule in the league. There is no luxury of time or patience left in the process. The 2026 season is the audition, and the performance on the field will be the final evidence used to determine the team's path forward. For the Panthers to thrive, they need the best version of their quarterback, week in and week out. Anything less could lead to an uncomfortable period of transition for the organization. As we prepare for the challenges ahead, we watch the development of our quarterback with high stakes. Make sure to subscribe and stay tuned as we track every development of this critical season for the team and our journey toward the playoffs.